Prayer is the gateway to communion with God. It is the portal to divine blessings. It is the avenue to peace. It is the highway to God's way. It is the most essential and beneficial of practices. The Holy Fathers call it the art of art and the science of sciences. Prayer is the daughter of the fulfillment of the gospel commandments. Prayer is at the same time the mother of all virtues. Prayer produces virtues from the union of the human spirit with the Spirit of the Lord. Prayer is the cure for our spiritual lethargy. Prayer is the fulfillment of the first commandment to love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. It is impossible for a person to turn with all of his thought, with all of his strength, with all of his being towards God, except by the action of prayer. When we prioritize the most essential and beneficial activities that we should practice, daily prayer should be at the top of the list. Prayer is our first obligation to God. As prayer is the mother of virtues, so must love, faith, hope, humility, obedience, and all righteousness be built on the foundation of prayer. Now today I'm going to isolate some of the keys to prayer into 7 steps. And to begin with the first one, I'm going to begin with a story. There was a young man named Eric. And Eric wasn't particularly talented. He couldn't yodel, he couldn't tap dance, he couldn't draw. He wasn't very athletic. He wasn't very handsome. And so the only thing that he took pride in was his mind. He thought he was smart. And in truth, he could figure out equations in his brain faster than the professor could on the board. And so he was always thinking about how smart he was. One day, as he was driving his clunker of a car, and the light changed, and he pulled out, and the car sputtered across the road, he said, "Why can't my car be like my mind, sharp, quick, responsive?" He thought, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. If my mind and my car were like, if my car could just go like my mind does. And that night he thought about it before he fell asleep and had a dream in which he dreamed that he was in bed and woke up and there was a man sitting on his bed. He says, "Who are you and why are you in my bed?" And the man says, "Well, I'm your angel. And we've decided upstairs that we're going to answer your request." And he said, "What request? I didn't make any request." He says, "Didn't you want your car to be like your mind?" He said, "Well, yes, that would be great." He says, "Well, we've modified your car to be just like your mind." He said, "Really?" He said, "Yes, it's going to be just like your mind." He says, "Well, can I go drive it now?" He said, "Yeah, be my guest, I'll wait here." And so he goes down, he gets dressed, goes down and gets his keys, opens the garage, gets into his car, he opens the door and all this trash falls out. He says, "Now, how did that get here?" Well, he makes room, throws some of the junk in the back and closes the door and puts the key in ignition. And even before he puts it into drive, the car takes off. Wheels out backwards and then takes off down the street. And he begins to go, "Wow, is this great? This car has never driven this way. It's just plowing down the street. And he looks up and he sees that the light's about to change. So he begins to apply the brakes, but the car's not slowing down. So he begins to pound the brakes, and the car still won't stop. And it plunges into the traffic coming, but somehow, miraculously, he makes it through. Cars are skidding and honking their horns, but he makes it through and heads on down. And then suddenly the car turns right when he was hoping to go left. And it goes through somebody's yard, then somebody's alley, and he's steering and trying to control this car, and it won't do anything he wants it to do. And finally, he looks up and he's headed for a street, and the light's already red, and the traffic's going, and he knows he's going to die. And he screams, "Angel, get me out of here!" And instantly he's back in his bed. And the angel says, "Did you enjoy your excursion?" He said, "That car was nothing like my mind." And the angel says, "Well, I beg to differ with you. We know your mind very well. And that car is exactly like your mind. It never stops. It's always going. It doesn't have brakes. And it jumps from this to that, to this to that, and you're always thinking about every little thing, and you never slow down to be still." He says, "Well, I don't know." And you said, "Well, watch." So the next few days he watches, and he sees that his mind is always all over the place, but half the time he forgets to watch because he's so caught up in his thoughts. And so after a few days, he's really frustrated with his mind, and he's driving along, and he comes to a light, and he stops the car and goes, "Why can't my mind be like my car? I'm able to stop when I put on my brakes."